The city lights of downtown always had a way of making me feel small, but tonight, they made me feel watched. I was on the third floor of my apartment building, trying to wind down after a long day. The hum of the city was a familiar comfort, but a sudden vibration from my phone shattered the calm. It was a text from an unknown number. Strange, but not unheard of. Probably just a wrong number. I glanced at it. Don't look out the window. A chill, completely unrelated to the draft in my old apartment, crawled up my spine. It was just a weird prank, I told myself. Some bored kids messing around. I texted back, "Who is this?" and tossed my phone onto the coffee table. The reply was almost instant, another vibration against the wood. I hesitated, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. I picked it up. "It doesn't matter who I am. Just don't look out your window. Please." The please was what really got me. It wasn't demanding or threatening. It was desperate. My curiosity was now battling a growing sense of dread. What could possibly be so important? I walked towards the window, the old floorboards groaning under my feet. My apartment overlooked a narrow, dimly lit alleyway. Not exactly a scenic view, but it was my view. My phone buzzed again, more urgently this time. "Stop, Daniel. Do not open the blinds." My heart hammered against my ribs. They knew my name. This wasn't a wrong number. This wasn't a random prank. My hand, which had been reaching for the cord to the blinds, froze in midair. How did they know my name? I backed away from the window, my eyes wide, scanning the shadows in my own apartment. It felt like the walls were closing in. Another message. "She's out there. She's waiting for you to look." My mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. Who was she? Why was she waiting for me? My apartment, once my sanctuary, now felt like a trap. Every creak of the building, every distant siren, seemed to be a part of this terrifying game. I had to know. The fear was suffocating, but the not knowing was somehow worse. Against every instinct screaming at me to run, to hide, I crept back to the window. My fingers trembled as I grabbed the plastic cord for the blinds. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, and pulled. The blinds shot up with a loud clatter that echoed in the silent room, and then I saw her. Hanging in the air, right outside my third-story window, was a woman. Her hair was a matted, dark mass that floated around her head as if underwater. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, stretched taut over sharp bones, but her eyes were wide, unblinking voids of pure black, and they were fixed directly on me. A grin stretched across her face, a grotesque slash of white teeth in the gloom, so white it looked like it must have been painful. She wasn't standing on anything, she was just there, suspended in the night air, defying gravity, defying all logic. I stumbled backward, a scream caught in my throat. I crashed into my coffee table, sending my phone flying. My body was paralyzed with a kind of terror I had never known. The image of her face, that horrifying smile, was burned into my mind. I scrambled on the floor, my hands searching frantically for my phone. I had to call the police, I had to call someone. My fingers finally closed around the cool plastic of the phone. I flipped it over, my thumb fumbling with the screen. But as the screen lit up, my blood ran cold. The messages, the warnings, they weren't from an unknown number. I stared at the screen, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. They were from me. The contact name was me. I had sent them to myself. I scrolled through the message history, my hands shaking so violently I could barely hold the phone. "Don't look out the window. Please, stop, Daniel. Do not open the blinds." They were all there, sent from my own number, timestamped just minutes ago. But I hadn't sent them. I was right here. How could I have sent them? A slow, scraping sound dragged my attention back to the window. It was the sound of fingernails on glass. I looked up, my heart seizing in my chest. The woman was pressing her face against the pane. Her breath fogged the glass, her black eyes boring into mine. Her smile had widened even more, a crazed, ecstatic grin. She was enjoying this, she was feeding on my fear. And then, she started to change. Her features began to soften, to morph. The sharp angles of her face rounded out, the pale, translucent skin began to take on a more familiar, human tone. The matted hair seemed to arrange itself into a familiar style. My style. I was watching in abject horror as her face became my face. It was like looking into a twisted, distorted mirror, It was me. A version of me with those same empty, black eyes and that soul-tearing grin. My phone vibrated one last time in my trembling hand. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. A new message had appeared on the screen, sent from me. "It's your turn now." The scraping stopped, the face at the window, my face, pulled back. Its smile seemed to say, "Welcome." The world around me started to dissolve. The floor beneath my feet felt like it was giving way. A strange lightness filled my body, pulling me, lifting me. I was being pulled towards the window, not by any physical force, but by something far more powerful, something inevitable. My last coherent thought wasn't of fear, but of a grim, horrifying understanding. The cycle was continuing. I wasn't the victim of the creature outside my window. I was its replacement. The messages weren't a warning from a stranger. They were a desperate, failed attempt from my future self to save me, to break the loop. A final, futile echo from a man who had already made the fatal mistake of looking. Now, I hang here, in the cold night air, outside a third-story window. My hair floats around my head, my skin is growing pale. And I wait, with this terrible, permanent smile stretched across my face. I can see a young man inside, looking confused, a little scared. His phone has just buzzed. I know what the message says. And I know that sooner or later, his curiosity will win. It always does. All I can do now is wait for him to look, and hope that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. But I know it won't. It's his turn now.